Well, welcome back into Talking Fitchburg, continuing our series this week for Fire Prevention Week, Fire Prevention Month, Fire Prevention all the time with my friend, Fire Protection Guy. Protection Guy. Good. 3 times in a row was never going to happen. Mark Malekis joining me here. Today we focus on fire prevention tips. We're going to be doing 2 segments of this, but today kind of taking an overall look at fire prevention and the word fire and burning and everything else in between. This is going to be an interesting one. We've dived into a lot of different topics since you and I have gotten together and do these things, but I'm excited to discuss today. So where are you going to be taking us?
So this one gets you into the side of fire prevention and firefighting that most people don't see. For one, everything is born out of an accident or a tragedy, right? So there's always an after-action report, and we're always learning from what did happen. Right, and that's how our codes are born. That's how building codes, all that stuff comes about. In the fire service, back in the early 1970s, President Nixon had the foresight to create what was then called the National Commission on Fire Prevention and Control. And this is a group of people that took a look at the fire problem in the country, and not just ways to fight the fires, but ways to prevent them. So they created a report called America Burning in 1973. And within that report came all sorts of recommendations for how the fire service should operate going forward, as well as recommendations for in-home fire protection and prevention.
50 years later, still working.
50 years later, still appropriate.
Wow.
There are some changes that need to be made because technology has changed the way we live, right? So we need to continually update and learn new tactics and learn new systems. But by and large, 50 years later, most of the recommendations that are in America Burning are still relevant, although they may need some updating.
One calls out for working smoke alarms.
Working smoke alarms.
Listen to that. Really listen to that. Working smoke alarms.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the problems that they were having and why the America Burning Report was created was because there was such high loss of life in fires. People were dying in fires way too much. And they looked at the idea of, and technology had come far enough at that time, to start putting smoke alarms into people's homes as an early warning system. As everybody knows, to borrow an overused phrase, where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay, where there's fire, there's smoke. And even a little tiny fire creates smoke. So if you have smoke alarms in your home, you get a very, very early warning that something bad is happening, something's on fire. And that early warning allows you to wake up, allows you to be alerted to the fire that may be happening in another room, and it allows you time to start your escape. Since then, America Burning has really been proven true. Smoke alarms do save lives. There's just no question. There is statistic after statistic to prove that early warning via smoke alarms absolutely save lives.
Well, and the technology in smoke alarms, which we're going to save for another day, but it has gotten better too. I put in my first system a couple of years ago that one goes off, they all go off, which is just really nice to know that. I don't know if I would hear it in the basement necessarily, but now I will know that if something goes off, they all go off, and it just gives me extra seconds to get out, out of that area. So out of this American Burning came the next piece, which was called the National Fire Incident Reporting System. So evolution,
right. So if you're going to start trying to figure out if you have more or fewer lives lost or saved, or more or fewer lives affected, you have to start counting. And the National Fire Incident Reporting System, NFIRS, as I call it, some people call it NIFRS, but the I is in a different place. So NFIRS is the correct way. NFIRS provides a means for each fire department to report after an incident, no matter what that incident is. And it helps nationally set up a set of statistics that can be used both in metrics, how fast or how efficient are we as a fire department, and what is the fire loss problem now. So, and NFIRS has been in use ever since.
Wow.
So
And you guys use it as well.
we do. In fact, very soon you'll start hearing a new acronym. The U.S. government is awesome for acronyms, but the new one is NERIS. And off the top of my head, I don't remember what NERIS is an acronym for, other than to tell you that it is the new, more updated NFIRS. So they've taken NFIRS as a base. It's sort of grossly outdated for the way technology has come into the world, and all fire department responses have changed. So NERIS is going to adapt to that, and it'll provide us a much clearer picture of both response metrics and statistics in terms of fire injuries, damage, property loss, dollar loss, all of those things.
And then you do use a local reporting software here as well for your department. And ultimately, all of this is important because we're really talking about researching and understanding what happened. As you had started off this segment saying, it's understanding what can we do better as we keep documenting these things. And as these things happen, you guys can use it as like, well, we've had 10 more fires this month, and they were cooking fires, so maybe we got to do some education on cooking fires.
Right. And that's exactly it. We use EPR Fireworks as our software. We started about a year and a half ago, so we're very new into this software. We're still building our data set to work from. But what it does is it provides a means for us to go to City Hall and chat with the mayor and council about, what are our local response metrics. We can talk national all day long, but we really want to make sure that we're helping protect Fitchburg in particular. So how are we doing that? And it guides us. For a guy like me, the words out there is the new buzzword is community risk reduction. And it takes a holistic look at all sorts of things in the community, including fire protection. Our software, as well as the new NERIS system, is really going to help us do that.
It's funny because when we get together and talk about fire prevention, you wouldn't think about these behind the scene items. You're thinking about literally just what's in front of you. You call 911, fire truck shows up, fire go out, fire prevention. There's a lot of moving parts.
I have to own this. Getting into the fire service, I never thought that I would be a software guy, and I never thought that I would be any sort of statistics analyst or in a position where I'm trying to figure out what the statistics mean and how we go forward. And the truth is, we couldn't do it without the software. But here I am, trying to make it work and learn that role of the fire service. It's sort of the non-sexy side of the fire service.
Oh, jeez. It is something. So, Mark, I appreciate the time. You can learn more about fire prevention tips both at the open house and continuing here. We do fire prevention tips each month here with Mark, so tune in for that, and we'll have to follow up on this one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate your time.